They hear you, Patrick. They hear the Nickelback references. Here we go, guys.
So there I was.
Yes!
Listening to Nickelback.
Yes!
All right.
No, everybody, I was excited about They Can Hear Us, not the Nickelback. We'll find out about the Nickelback.
We got it fixed. This is the most exciting thing that's going to happen in the whole show is the fact that they can simply hear you, and it's not just me trying to talk to two people that they can't hear. All right, Freddy, tell them your Nickelback story.
Okay, Nickelback story. So I was walking into my local used bookstore, pillaging the Star Wars aisle as always, which I've got, I don't know, maybe 7 books here and a couple of surprises. But I walked in and they were playing Rockstar, and I fantastic. Meg comes to mind. I feel like we just had to talk about it on the podcast. This has to be a Nickelback episode.
Because we all
Oh my
just
gosh.
want to be big rock stars living in tour buses, driving 18 cars, and I'm going to see myself off the pod now.
Well, you're in the right place, Patrick. You are in the right place because I kind of unironically, but a little bit ironically, and sometimes I'm not totally sure how I feel about Nickelback, but what I do know is, regardless of how I feel about Nickelback, I know that I love me some Star Wars books. How about y'all? Let's roll the tape and get this thing started. Welcome, everybody, to Legends Lookback. This is the formerly Patreon exclusive show brought to you by Youtini.com, where we talk about all things Star Wars Legends, the show that has been described as the podcast for people who like Star Wars books and love to drink Surge and play with their Tamagotchis. We're going to be celebrating our rich EU history as well as diving into... How'd you guys like that? We're diving into lesser-known Star Wars classics as well. I'm your host, Jared Mays, joined as always by... the rock star himself, Freddy C. How's it going, Freddy?
It's going, man. Books. I'm not sure when we're going to make that.
Into the show. Save it, Freddy. They got to stay for the whole show. They got to get all those Twitch watching points. What are those things called? The little bubbles that pop up as you're watching? I love those things so much.
Pop-up videos.
Absolutely. And excited to have you here, Freddy, as always. Freddy jumped on with me at 8:59 p.m. for our show that starts at 9, because time zones, everybody. And it says, Freddy, they could not hear you in that other scene, so I will get that fixed. That's a lot of fun. It says they can't hear you when it's all 3 of us. So when could you hear Freddy? That's the fun thing. Freddy, let me pipe you in here. Everybody, I think they can hear me. Give me just a second, Freddy, and I will get you fixed over here. Gotta love trying to run a live Twitch show. What a fun experience this is. And by fun, I mean, yeah, I guess it's fun. All right. No.
Hear me.
Freddy, they can't hear you. I think I've got you in now. Now try.
Testing everyone.
There you go. All right. Tell them that awesome thing you just said.
There was something about what was I saying? Nickelback, Star Wars, used bookstore. There's some good content coming up soon though. We're going to be reviewing some books.
There it is.
In some future episodes that I think everyone's going to like. I don't know how the reaction's going to go, but they're going to have to wait till the very end, the last second, to figure it out.
Absolutely. We're going to make that announcement at the end of the show. We are also joined this week by his second appearance on the podcast 2 weeks in a row. We've got Patrick. How's it going, man?
I'm doing great. I just want to know, does that tie Meg's record now for 2 appearances on Legends Lookback?
Well, Meg's got the record for 2 shows in a row. Eric has also been on 3 times. No, Eric's got the record with 3 guest appearances. We need to have like a screen that shows like the rankings of our guests and let people vote on which guests they like the most. They can just like text it in. We'll get that feature added soon. But as we get started this week, I've got to tell you about my latest Star Wars books problem. You ready for this? Today I got a text from my wife about my Star Wars book addiction. You ever get that from your partner? Let us know in the chat. You ever get a text from your partner about your Star Wars books problem? I'm anxious to know, is it just me? The text today said this. Were you supposed to get another Thrawn book? Because here's the thing. I got a few days ago, in pristine condition, my copy of Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising. What a Star Wars title. You can't even see the blue pages with my light shining on it here. The pages are blue, everybody. Beautifully blue. I'm trying. Learning how to do video. Got this awesome copy of the book in the mail. So excited to dive in and read it. And then today in the mail arrives not one but two copies of Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising. So here's my question. What in the world am I going to do with two copies of this freaking book?
Read them both.
Well, it is a dense enough book where I feel like I'm going to need 2 read-throughs in order to make it through. You know, I've got to admit, I started Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising. I'm not going to say that whole title every time. Yeah, they're canon books, Wes. I know they're canon, but Thrawn, we claim him as a Legends character, and there's no way you will ever convince me otherwise. All right, I was so excited to start the book, made it an hour and a half into the audiobook, finished it, and was like, I don't have a clue what I just listened to in the last hour and a half. So a couple days later, I restarted it. I was like, I'm just gonna start clean slate, start this sucker over. Made it through the exact same hour and a half. First, 2 chapters. Finished that hour and a half listening session, only to turn off my audiobook and still feel like I had no idea what I had just listened to. So, I don't know about y'all, but I'm doing great. Doing great over here. Absolutely great.
Jared, what you described was my high school algebra class. So,
Perfect. Yeah, I think it's an experience that a lot of us can relate to for sure. It can't be that unusual for people to try to make it through an audiobook and maybe their mind's not in the right place. How are you guys doing in the new Thrawn book? How are you feeling like it fits as a Legends book? Would it fit in the Legends continuity? Let me know. Couldn't be more excited to get into that. But you know what book I have read multiple times, both in hardback and on audio? And I do remember very clearly, if you're watching on our Twitch live stream or our YouTube video, first of all, welcome. Glad you're with us. And that is The Old Republic Revan by Drew Karpyshyn. And I am excited tonight for us to finish out this bad boy. Last week we talked about the characters. This week we are getting into the overarching questions. Are you ready? Let's do this thing. Last week, of course, we talked about the main characters. We talked about everybody's favorite Sith Lord that they love to hate, and that's Scourge. We talked a little bit about what is it that makes Scourge set apart as a Sith. Is there anything interesting about Surge? I said Surge. I'm in the 90s mood, guys. Surge. Did you ever drink Surge, Freddy?
I did. I drank Surge while I held my favorite.
You got Power of the Force. Bring it down. I'll try to find you, Freddy. Oh, that's the wrong scene. It's the wrong scene. I got this very touchy trackpad. Yeah, Power of the Force, Luke. It's a little pixely, which is probably a good thing, if we're being honest. Probably a good thing when it comes to those Power of the Force figures. I've got a real weird looking... I got a Yoda that looks like he's seen better days with my Power of the Force figure over here. I can show it off in front of the camera. See if I can get Yoda up to the... Yoda's got this look on his face like he's seen some stuff. You know what I mean?
You sniffed too many dryer sheets.
He's been eating too much of that root leaf stew. How about you guys in the chat? Do you have any Power of the Force figures? If so, snap a pic and throw it in the Legends Lookback channel in the Discord. But that's enough Yoda talk for today, because Yoda's not in today's book. Buff Luke's not in today's book, but you know who is? Revan. The only Star Wars character who absolutely 100% of the time can beat Boba Fett in a costume contest, and can even beat, what do you think, Chewbacca in a popularity contest? Everybody loves them some Revan. We talked last week about why we love Revan so much. Whether or not Revan did the right thing in leading the Jedi to war without the Council's approval. We talked about whether or not we prefer light side or dark side Revan. But this week, we are going to be talking about more of the big picture questions. Let's start off with this. essentially this book is one major retcon, isn't it, Freddy?
Yeah.
In a big way, you've got to be able to cement those choose your own path stories of KOTOR 1 and 2 in order to, forge your own path forward with the connecting tissue story that's going to lead us into the MMO, which is SWOTOR. I cannot say that for the life of me. How do you say it, Patrick? You're more of a gamer than me. You say SWOTOR?
Swoter.
But it's not spelled that way. There's no extra O. Because then it would be Star Wars of the Old Republic, or Star Wars O, the Old Republic. Star Wars the Grand Old Republic. That's not right.
You know what? I can't talk either. So you know what? My enunciation of things is haphazard at best. So you know what?
It's been one of those weeks, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go sit in the corner.
Well, this week, we were talking about the fact that while this is a major retcon, I kind of like the way that it works. And I want to hear from you guys, though. Which version of the story of Revan do you prefer? Do you prefer this idea that he turned the dark side in order to defeat the Mandalorians, and then like the power and the glory of it all kind of snowballs, and once he's got a taste of power, he just wants more and more and more of it, which is my impression from the video game, right? Or do you prefer the version of the story that we get in this book, where he's turned to the dark side because he's discovered the Sith Empire? What do you think, Patrick? Who did it better, the game or the book?
I actually do like the book's explanation for it. Oh, excuse me. That drink's coming back. No, I like the idea because it also gave the storyline in a bigger overarching villain. Like that
that's good.
Palpatine feel of someone like a puppet master behind the scenes pulling all the strings.
Well, it's easy to think of him as Palpatine if they're literally just calling him the Emperor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, he's got a name. What's his name? I forgot it. I think I erased it from the show notes.
Was it Tenebrae?
No, I don't think that's right. I'll look it up. While I look it up, while I do a good old Google search, Freddy, what do you think? Who did it better, the book or the video game?
Yeah, I like the video game. The video game has a good catch to it, but honestly, I started with the book, so to me it was focusing more on. I mean, you needed to have some kind of path, right? You couldn't. There's so many options that you could have chosen in or not so many options, but there's only a few options you could choose in the I guess your adventure, right?
Right.
In the game itself. But I really liked how they cemented it in Revan, because then that means that you can go back and do whatever you want in the game. You can keep him on the dark side, you can keep him on the light, it's really up to you. And I think that's cool. So I would say I really prefer the book on how I guess they explored so many options and so many different things that could have happened to him in terms of like his path, because he could have stayed in the dark side. He could have chilled there forever,
right,
and no one would have saved him. But I liked seeing him getting saved. I liked seeing him, try to be a Jedi again and just getting sucked back into the dark side, or at least getting attracted to it.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things, Freddie. I don't know why your picture's showing up better in one screen versus the other. You're looking better in this frame, so we're just gonna leave you here. Stay put, Freddie. All right. Stay in your lane. Stay in your frame here. I'm the one who holds the controls. Go ahead, Patrick.
I do have one question. It's my understanding, now granted, I may be wrong on this, that in KOTOR, everyone's idea of him turning to the dark side because he wanted power, was that just like their guess? I can't recall properly. Was that just like everyone's like assumption, or like Jedi's assumption that he just wanted power, or no one really knew for sure why?
That's kind of the fun thing, is that it's a little bit nebulous, right? They're telling me to turn up your mic, Freddie. I will get that fixed on my end. Don't touch anything on your end. Don't listen to the chat, Freddie. I will fix it. That's one of the things that works really well, Patrick, is the fact that it's a little bit up in the air. You don't really know. Revan in the video game doesn't do a lot of talking. He's mostly, swinging the lightsaber, wielding the Force lightning. You learn more about his backstory. You don't so much hear him monologuing. You don't really find out his own internal viewpoint. I think in the game it's a little bit nebulous. You hear other characters saying, "Well, here's what happened. He led the Jedi and the Mandalorian wars, and then after that, he went off into the unknown regions and came back a Sith Lord." My understanding is that in the game he discovered the Star Forge. They went to the planet of the fish head people. You know what I'm talking about? They kept those big old
Ricotta?
the Ricotta. Yeah, there we go.
The scary frogs.
This book actually names it. I forget the name of the planet. But in that version, it's like he discovers this massive battle station, and then when he does, at that point they're like, well, I guess we have to conquer the galaxy, right? What's your take on that, Freddy?
Yeah, honestly, that's one part that just kind of didn't really stick to me. I don't know how to describe it, but this book was there was so many different things, right? Everyone talks about how convoluted it was, and there's definitely parts of the story that I just blank out of my head because it's either just too much or I'm just not interested in it, and I move on to the next, which I think is why I gave it a 7, because it kept me in the story, but it didn't quite keep me in a lot of different parts. And this is definitely, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. It's just one of those things that I can't really get into it in terms of this story.
You know, one of the things about it for me is I like that there's kind of these alternate takes on what actually happened, and it's a little bit like, well, maybe this happened, maybe that happened, and the fact that it's all legends means that there really isn't a correct answer on what happened to Revan and why he turned to the dark side. It seems to me that this book is saying, well, it makes him more heroic, even as a Sith Lord, because he was really trying to save the galaxy as opposed to dominate the galaxy. Malik's the one who's really petty and evil because he betrays his best friend, and that's a horrible thing to do. Whereas I like the idea that Revan, he originally had, this is my head canon, my head legends, all right, is that Freddy, not Freddy, you're Freddy, that Revan, I just called Revan Freddy. I mean, is that an insult to
Not too bad. It's not too bad.
Is that an insult to Revan or a compliment to Freddy? It's definitely
It's
one
his
of the
middle name,
two.
that's all. It's on his driver's license, his speeder's license.
Freddy Revan C.
There you go.
My head version of this is the fact that that Revan originally has good intentions, but then once he takes one step down the dark path, it dominates his destiny, as Yoda says, as buff, long-legged, power of the Force Yoda says, "Forever will it dominate your destiny." It's like he didn't mean to become evil. He originally had good intentions. The Jedi were the ones who were set in their ways, and they were wrong to not get involved. But then he realized, hey, I really am the coolest and most powerful Jedi there ever was. I guess the universe kind of owes me one, right? Does that make sense to you, Freddy?
Yeah, when you put it in that term, or in that like viewpoint, I guess for me, what I see is Revan is powerful, no doubt, right? He's an absolutely powerful person. And I think what happened is, if you really put the two together, right? You've got the light side, the dark side. What is the dark side focused on? Is power, right? So someone who is powerful is naturally going to attract the dark side, in my opinion. I mean, look at Anakin. He's extremely powerful. Of course, he had a lot of, I guess, feelings, and I mean, there's a lot of drawbacks to his character too that brought him into the dark side. But I personally think that just the power that Revan had, and I guess the what he was destined to do, it just he had to go to the dark side. There was almost no choice.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. One of the things that also makes sense to me is that as I'm reading this book, you're spending a lot of time with Scourge, right? Gotta love Scourge, unless you hate Scourge, in which case I totally understand, because he's not the best. As I'm reading through this book, we're spending a lot of time with this Sith Lord who's very arrogant, but he's not caught up in the whole political system of the Sith there on Droman Kos. And then it's a beautiful thing at the end when you've got Revan teamed up with the exile Mitra Surik, also teamed up with a Sith Lord who just kind of has his own agenda. Patrick, did you see the team up coming, or did it surprise you? Did it blindside you? Was this predictable for you?
Oh, I thought it was very predictable, especially like once he gets imprisoned. I'm like, okay, I kind of know where this is going, but it did not redeem Scourge for me.
Okay, so
Did not.
why not? Because he's still pretty petty and evil.
If I'm allowed to talk about the ending fight,
Yeah. Full spoilers, everybody.
hit the button. But no, he cowered. He cowered out. He cowered.
Uh-oh, hold on,
I can't
Patrick.
use-
We've lost your audio. Let me fix it. I'll fix it, everybody. There's always something. All right, keep talking, Patrick. Let's see if it comes
All right,
through.
I'm back.
No.
Okay.
Let me fix it.
Oh, Patrick.
Thanks for the save, Freddy.
Such a fan. Keep going.
There it is. All right, you're in. Go ahead, Patrick.
We're back. Okay. No.
No one heard that.
Oh. No. How are you a Sith Lord and cower from the fight in the middle of it when honestly y'all had a legitimate shot of winning?
Yeah.
They like Mitra literally gets that lightsaber. It's like she scares the lights out of the Emperor with that lightsaber throw. And then Scourge is just sitting back kind of scared and cowering. Take his Sith card. Man, take his official status, everything. No, he's not redeemable.
Do you think Sith have cards, like membership cards? I'm a good standing member. I paid my dues.
I don't care if he's got 5 points left to a sub. Take it away from him.
What do you think? What do you think, Freddy? Was this predictable for you? Was it surprising? Did you see this coming? When it came to this huge team up fight, they're fighting the Emperor. You got Revan versus the Sith Emperor. And by the way, Patrick, you are right. His name is. We're both right and we're both wrong. His name is, as you said, Tenebrae. I was thinking Tenebris, Darth Tenebris, but that's a different person. Don't be confused, everybody. There's Tenebrae and Tenebris. But he also goes by Vitiate. I knew him as Lord Vitiate. That's the name they use more in this book. You're more familiar with the video game, Patrick, and I couldn't get past like the first level. So you've got that one on me. So we're both right on that. But Freddy, what do you think? Did you see this coming? For me, it was kind of surprising. I was excited to see Revan teamed up with the Exile from KOTOR 2, teamed up with this Sith Lord that we've got to know in this book. What about you? Are you with me or Patrick?
Yeah.
You better take my side or you're off the show.
Well, thankfully, it was kind of a surprise. I didn't completely expect it. So when it did happen, it was pretty surprising to me. And I just remember flipping through those pages, just reading through it, and I'd be like, "What the heck is going on here?" And then going backwards just to like start it again to see how it happened. It was pretty awesome. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I did too. Maybe it's the fact that I read this when I was like 18 or 19. I didn't see it coming, so we'll blame my 18 or 19-year-old self for not being as savvy as Patrick for seeing it coming. But it is a pretty epic ending to the book. Go ahead, Patrick.
No, I was gonna say, I must say the audiobook version, it feels like it's more hinted at than just like reading it out. Because when Mark Thompson does the different voices, he kind of leans into it more. Because Mark Thompson's great at doing audio.
Definitely leans into it. We're talking about the ending of the book. We've got Revan teamed up with Scourge against the Emperor. The other person he's teamed up with is Mitra Surik, which if that name is unfamiliar to you, that's fine. In KOTOR 2, she goes by just the Exile, right? So you create your own character. For me, he's a bearded, very severe-looking man. So the book has got a definitely better version of the character for sure. But it really does canonize, as we've talked about in Legends, of course, canonizes both KOTOR 1 and 2, where both Revan and the Exile take the light side paths. So as they take the official good side of the right path in terms of which version of the story you were supposed to follow, which is it's a little bit sad, the fact that you can invest a lot of time and effort, and I might have spent 90 hours in my first playthrough of KOTOR. I don't know. There's no way to find out now. It's been a while, but does this cheapen the magic of the video game for you, Freddy? Or does it tie the stories together for you?
It ties the stories. What I really liked about it was, and maybe this is just my where I'm coming from in terms of my fandom. If stories conflict with other stories or they don't match up, I don't know if I really care, to be honest. I still think of it as part of a timeline. People like to get into, oh well, Han should have been like 85 in this scene. Why is he only like 20? Just read the book and don't think too hard about the timeline, or don't think too hard about the outcomes or how it's been retconned or whatever. I enjoyed it. I always see. I don't know if it's just how I perceive things, but I think it really lends itself to assisting me in understanding the game a little bit more, and the timeline really.
Yeah, yeah. Over in the chat, Joxy is criticizing me for my 90 hours in KOTOR. Just totally made up that number right there on the spot. I'm trying to run a Twitch show over here, Joxy. So forgive me for juggling a lot of things over here. I'm just making numbers up as I go. We'll say welcome to Juliana and Timothy, who have both joined us. Glad to have you here with us. We're talking about the overarching questions of the Old Republic Revan by Drew Karpyshyn. We're talking about the fact that this really does canonize. It sets in stone and cements the stories, both the light side story arcs for Revan and Mitra Surik. And the question is, does this cheapen the magic for you, or does it tie the stories together? What do you think, Patrick? Would it have been better to just leave the stories ambiguous?
I'm with Freddy. I think playing both the games, how they're both all-time great games. I said that last week. I will stand by that until like my bones decompose away,
Absolutely.
because that is the hill I will die on. But
Freddy probably thinks Star Wars Galaxies is better, but I don't know how you could ever believe that.
Get your shot glasses out.
I was gonna say, meet me after this podcast, Freddy. But no, as great as those games were, as enjoyable as they were, like you said earlier, if you're going to continue a character story, you kind of have to just pick an arc and go with it. And they did a great job from what they went with. So yeah, it doesn't cheapen anything.
Well, we've talked about the fact that we've got this huge team up where they're battling the Emperor, who we now know has two names, so that's fun. But all great Sith Lords do, right? You got Palpatine and Sidious. You got Dooku and what's his other name? I'm blanking because I'm on a live podcast and that's the way it works.
Tyrannus?
Right? Yeah, Tyrannus, which is way too cool of a name for somebody as decrepit as Dooku. But I will say this much. The Emperor definitely fits the mold of a classic Sith Lord in one major way, and that is he has been lying in wait to conquer the galaxy. He's been amassing a huge army. Nobody even knows of their existence. Freddy, what do you think of the Emperor's plan to conquer the galaxy? Lie in wait, let the Republic kind of crumble in on itself, wait until the Jedi are overconfident, and then just straight up storm the Jedi Temple. Or evaluate his plan as if you were his project manager. All right, what's the Emperor's performance review with his galactic domination and all that?
So imagine have my glasses, my checkboard, and I'm looking. I'm like, how original, cool. Let's move on. So, you know, the the plan, I believe, and if you watch the cutscenes for Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO, you see a lot of that infiltration, right? The infiltration into the Jedi Temple, um, a lot of other stuff. And I think it's so Sith to have a secret plan and amassing a secret army in like a secret part of the galaxy. It almost makes sense. I find it hard to think of what Sith can do other than that, because it seems like it's a very common theme.
Yeah, what do you think, Patrick?
Stereotypical Sith right here.
Absolutely.
Stereotypical Sith. But no, it like you said earlier, it kind of does remind you of a Palpatine-esque plan.
Right.
Just sit, wait, and wait for that perfect time. then hit all your marks, and then go for the attack.
What I appreciate about Palpatine is he's a little bit more willing to get his hands dirty. He's literally right in the base of the Jedi's power, right? He's right there in the thick of it with the Jedi, face to face, having meetings with them, and they don't even see the fact that he's a Sith Lord. With Vitiate, the Emperor in SWTOR, and the Old Republic Revan, he's way off in the unknown regions on Droman Kos, and the Jedi don't even know of his existence until he sucker punches them by ransacking the Jedi Temple. Which I will say, those SWTOR trailers are some of my absolute favorite pieces of Star Wars content. What about y'all?
Absolutely. Yeah, I really like the visual. I mean, so before the video game came out, they had announced the cancellation of Star Wars Galaxies, and they were terrible time. Star Wars Galaxies #1 Star Wars game of all time. Anyway,
Shot.
But when those were coming out, it made me really want to play the video game, not just because of it being a Star Wars video game, but the cinematic trailers were amazing. They're so fantastic. I suggest everyone go out there and watch it.
I remember in college, my buddy Luke and I, Luke, if you're listening, shout out to Luke, he and I would just sit in his dorm room and just watch those on a loop, over and over and over, eating some yogurt, just watching those the Old Republic trailers, and then I never actually got a chance to play the game until recently. And I will say, speaking of YouTube videos, in the chat, Juliana's dropping some hot Legends knowledge on us over here, telling us about some Revan fan-made movies that we'll have to check out, as well as Legacy of the Force movies. Gotta love the impact that Juliana has. She comes into the chat late, drops these bombs on us. Amazing. What an awesome community. We're talking about the Emperor here. One of the things for me that really makes him stand out is, as a good Sith Lord, as Patrick says, a very stereotypical Sith Lord, one of the things that he does well is he's got this plan of, well, as a good Sith Lord does, trying to live eternally. And at the end of the book, huge spoiler for the end of the book, the major thing that he does is he captures Revan and is basically siphoning his life energy to live unnaturally. How'd you guys like that? How was my impression?
That was good.
It's been a long week. Anyway, he's siphoning he's siphoning his life force in order to extend. And how long has he even been alive? I'm sure Juliana's going to look up his Wikipedia page, and she'll have that for us in just a matter of moments. Juliana basically lives on Wikipedia. 1,500 years, is that what you said, Patrick?
I want to say something like that. 1,500, 1,300.
How do we see the Emperor fitting into this quest that the Sith have? What does this show us about the Sith's long-standing goal of finding a way to achieve eternal life, Freddy? We've talked about this a little bit in previous episodes, such as the Darth Plagueis episode and my favorite, which was Dark Empire, where we got naked Palpatine just with his cloning tanks.
Oh, goodness. I almost forgot. I almost got that image out of my head, man.
Never get that image out of your head.
God.
So, there's clearly a theme, right? That it seems like the Jedi can't wait to die and the Sith don't want to.
That sounds so terribly morbid.
We'll have Heather put that up on our Twitter this week. That's going to be our quote.
Jedi like that boring. It's like, and I got to this temple, and I just kill me now.
From today's episode. The Jedi can't... What was that, Freddy? Say it again? I got to write this one down.
The Jedi can't wait to die and the Sith want to live forever. Something like that.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, it just comes down to that theme where they appreciate material things, right? They like being rich and famous, and, well, maybe not famous, but they like being rich. They like material. So how else can you enjoy wealth and power without being alive? So naturally they have to live, right? And how do you live? What's the one problem everyone faces? Time. And that's exactly how the Sith try to fix it, is let's just try to figure out how we can live longer.
Yeah. Since we've talked about the Emperor trying to live forever, we've talked about young nude Palpatine. Now that we're doing this sucker on, we're doing it on live video, I can show this off in front of the camera For those of you, we're gonna get censored by Twitch here. Here's our young, naked, slimy Palpatine. You know that he's got posters of Darth Vitiate up in his office, right? It's like his phone background, his datapad background is this page 126, 127 from the Dark Empire Omnibus. All right, well, enough of that. What about you? What about you, Patrick? Does the Emperor do a good job at this? Is he better than Plagueis Palpatine at the whole eternal life thing, or is he just a pretender?
Honestly, I had to think he was the original at this. 'Cause what was he? I want to say he was like between 13 and 1500 when this comes out, because he had already siphoned everybody off Nathema.
Right.
So at this point, he's got a lot of force power residuals in the tank to last him a good another couple thousand years. And let's be honest, when you got 1,000 years to plot, you're gonna come up with something good.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up there, Patrick. The fact that one of the major bombshells in this book, especially what makes Scourge hesitant to throw his hat in with the Emperor, is when he realized just how insanely evil the Emperor really is. When, is it Nyrus? Somebody shows him what he did to the planet of Nathema. He basically atomic bombed it by siphoning an entire planet's force energy, not just the men, but the women and the children too, and of course, all of its. He takes all of their vegetation. Every living thing he siphons into himself. He basically destroys an entire planet. He is the original Death Star. So, Freddy, would you rather be blown up by the Death Star or have your life force sucked up by Darth Vitiate? No, we won't. We won't go there.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. Let's just go to the Death Star and just get it over with.
Absolutely. Well, in terms of the fact that the Sith living forever has become relevant again with the rise of Skywalker. You're looking for a good fix on that. A really good story of what a Sith is willing to do in order to achieve eternal life. That aspect of this book is absolutely excellent, don't you think, Patrick?
Oh, of course. It stays right on theme with them.
Yeah, I think it provides a really interesting wrinkle, especially as the Emperor has basically taken an entire planet's life force. One of the places that really receives a lot of attention in this book, it's a great introduction to the planet of Droman Kos, which is actually featured on an old school Youtini bookmark. You got that one, Freddy? From back in the day?
You know what? I do not have one because Corey took all my things away from me.
I know Patrick does. What do you mean by that? Corey took your things.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Corey said you can't have nice
Master
things.
Corey said I had to throw it away.
Droman Kos is such an awesome planet, this lightning planet, dark and stormy, deep in the unknown regions. This is in a lot of ways reminiscent of Patrick's background here on this week's green screen of Droman Kos. Patrick, do you think that The Rise of Skywalker is referencing Droman Kos? Are they ripping off Droman Kos? Do you think one of the writers or concept artists has played SWTOR?
Okay, so my take on Exegol was always, all right, I'm going to dig back into like the Legends back in this one. Remember the Clone Wars game that came with the Xbox back in like early 2000?
No.
Anybody? Oh, dang it. Come on now.
Swing and a miss, Patrick.
All right. One of the later levels was this planet called like Thul or Thul or something like that.
Okay.
And it's dark. It's always lightning. It's stormy. It's like an ancient Sith world. And that's what I'm like, oh, y'all made that Exegol. Okay, we'll go with that. That's what I always thought it was.
Okay, that's interesting. What do you think, Freddy?
I feel like Droman Kos is the embodiment of what a teenager feels.
it's a teenager's deep, dark soul. I think my 18-year-old brother's with us tonight, so we'll let him chime off and let us know. Is this true? Is it accurate? Is it a dark Freddy, and stormy planet of Sith Lords?
Droman Kos equals puberty.
Yes.
Got it.
Oh, man.
Hormones.
Incredible.
In high school.
You know, what's interesting is we've gotten some of these recent movies, and they really have referenced some of these old Legends titles. Solo was especially egregious in a lot of fan service. You know, we've got the reference to Terrace Kasi and Ara Singh. It's just loaded from beginning to end with references. But between Dark Empire and what I believe is a reference to Droman Kaas, The Rise of Skywalker isn't afraid to dip its toe into Legends, which I really appreciate. Patrick, you're giving me a face like I don't know about that.
No, I'm actually not in agreement with you because I'm not sure if I remember this correctly, but didn't some people say they could see like Nihilus's mask in the Exegol Temple? in
Oh
Rise of
yeah, totally.
Skywalker?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not just making stuff up. Okay, thank you. I'm not
Yeah.
crazy.
We've talked about some pretty heavy topics here tonight. You know, the quest for eternal life, Nickelback. You know, the big overarching questions. So let me end us out with this one last question, and I'd like to get everybody in the chat. I gave you a heads up on this, so hopefully you did your homework. I want to know. You know, this book gives us some pretty awesome Sith names, right? We got Nyrus. It's a great name. You got Scourge, the best Sith Lord name ever. It's almost as if he was like, we might as well just name myself Angst, Darth Angst. Scourge is such a heavy name. Darth Slayer, you know, it's kind of what it feels like, right? Patrick, we're gonna start off with you.
Legendsy.
Lead us off here. Very Legendsy. He's in the right place. He knows what book he's in. He knows he's gonna be on a 2-part Twitch podcast one of these days, and he is here for it. Can you outdo Scourge? What would your Sith Lord name be, my friend?
Darth Vile.
Vile, like Nick Viall from The Bachelor.
See,
Any Bachelor fans in the chat?
hey, don't expose me right now.
I'm not afraid to admit it, man. Every Monday night. Okay.
Hey, that means I gotta tell my girl I was watching it without her.
Darth Slayer is a good one. Joxy says, I've got dibs on Darth Slayer. All right. He only ever wears like Anthrax and Metallica t-shirts. Okay, go ahead, Freddy. What's your Sith Lord name?
Corey Hilton. Just kidding. He's a good guy. Yeah, this is funny because I never consider myself in like the Sith realm of anything. I've always, been on the light side of everything. But if I had to pick a name,
you think you're too good for this, Freddy? You think you're too good for my question?
I don't know, man.
You can write the Google Doc notes next time. You can write the show notes, man. You think
I was trying to search.
You're too
Latin
light
words
side
for
for my
darkness.
my Sith question.
Let's go with Darth. I'm gonna go with. I can't do it. It's too hard. I'm too good for this. I'm on the good side.
I'm reading.
I'm gonna.
Go ahead, Freddy.
I'm gonna tweet it out. How about that?
Perfect.
Stand by.
Once Freddy figures it out, we'll announce it on all the.
Darth Patrick.
Darth Patrick. I'm looking at the Wikipedia article that Freddy just sent me. That the name Tenebrae is Latin for darkness. It's a religious service in Christianity, talking about
extinguishing of candles.
The extinguishing of candles. I've got to say, I'm almost done with my Master of Divinity, and I've never even heard of this. So it's definitely not a part of my tradition. But I'm looking at the word surreptitious used here. Darth surreptitious would be good. Maybe not. That sounds a little bit on the nose. All right, we got some good ones in the chat. We've got from Cheryl, a very 2020 Sith Lord name. I'd be Darth, I'm tired of your stuff. Got to censor that one, Cheryl. Sorry. You can put it in the chat, but I'm going to have to censor it on my end, at least.
Darth COVID.
I'm going to have teenagers. That's a good one. Definitely a good one. We've actually got friends who have a 2-year-old daughter named Kova, which is incredibly ill-timed. She's got a rough year, that little girl. All right, got a good one from Joxy, Darth Scythe, and Darth Obscura. We got Darth LOL from One Nile in the chat. That's a good one, Darth LOL. Is that supposed to be your name? Or are you just laughing at Cheryl's answer, Joxy's answer? Those are both good. Absolutely excellent names, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Corey's picked, though.
Darth Cornhorn, right?
Dang it, I wanted to say it.
I must
say, Jared.
Yeah, man.
In this book, I have hatred for Atris like Corey has for Corn.
Oh, really? Why is
Yeah.
that?
Interesting.
She's so self-righteous and useless at the same time. It's like, really? You've done nothing for nobody but judge people. You're
She's
just like
very she's very judgy. I relate to her in a big bad way.
He's like how I'm secretly judging both of you and giving you and Freddy grades for this podcast.
Well, we did tell Patrick that this was his audition for Legends Look Back, and he's gonna have to do a good job if you want to be on the show again. No, I will say the one last thing I'll say about the naming conventions is on my main playthrough of KOTOR back in the day, my name was Ronid Jast, and I will forever cling to that name with all of my. That's like my online alter ego, Ronid Jast. You ever in Reddit, you see somebody named, that's me. All right, Ronid Jast is my Revan name. It's like it starts with R. You kind of got Ronin or Ronid and Revan. It was like my auto-generated name by KOTOR. Pretty
I was
sure.
about to say you pressed the button, didn't you?
Oh, I pressed the button, man. I pressed it for sure. For sure. Well, everybody, if you have enjoyed listening to us podcast about the Old Republic Revan, or if you actually read the book and loved it, we've got some other great stuff that we can recommend for you. In particular, we want to recommend our newly published, newly written, hot off the presses of the internet, that Revan collection that, I wrote, so it's excellent. All right. Now, we've got some other good collections that you can check out, too. I would also encourage you to check out the Sith collection, the Villains collection. We got a Plagueis collection. And, of course, all right, here you are in the Twitch stream. You're getting a scoop, everybody. We'll see how mad Meg is at me for dropping a scoop on her collections here. Coming soon to launch with the release of Star Wars Squadrons to get that good Youtini synergy. Yeah, there's Meg in the chat. Did someone say collections? Coming soon. I think that'll tie in really excellently with our Revan 2-part roundtable. We're going to have a video games collection that Michael has written. Looking forward to that. The Star Wars books that you can... Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. All right, we're just going to have to keep podcasting forever so that I don't get in the... I don't get in trouble by Meg in the Slack. She's not happy with me for this. Video games collection, so be looking forward to that one. Build the hype, everybody. I'm just building hype, Meg. I'm sweating. Somebody bail me out. Freddy, help me out here.
Nickelback.
Nickelback, there we go. Now Meg's
Distraction.
happy. Now Meg is happy. I will say, now that we've got the release of Thrawn, Ascendancy, Chaos Rising, one of the cool things that I would encourage you to do is check out, if you're enjoying some Thrawn in your life, check out our Thrawn collection that Charles wrote. It's a really excellent one. Some good Thrawn books, a lot of good deep dive Legends stuff you can dive into with that. And one last massive announcement before we wind this sucker down. Coming up next, we're going to have another episode that's topical. We're still ironing out, but before that, we do want to go ahead and give you the heads up that our next book that we are going to tackle as a roundtable on Legends Look Back is the Legends seminal masterpiece. This is for you, Cheryl. Buckle up. We are going to do Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. We are starting the Thrawn trilogy, everybody. Get hyped. You excited for that, Patrick? On cassette tape?
On cassette tape.
No, I'm excited.
I have nowhere to play it, but I still have it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't have any cassette players either, but that's incredibly epic. All right, we're going to have to invite Patrick back on now that he's talked about cassette tapes. Well, that does it for this week, everybody. Thank you for listening to Legends Look Back. Thank you for joining us. For those who have been with us live in the chat, super excited to spend our Thursday night with you. If you're watching later on YouTube, remember to like, subscribe, share, hit that bell, all that good stuff that I'm supposed to say as a YouTube host. Still new at this, so give me a break here, people.